So on my channel, I've learned a lot about the German language. I've watched a lot of videos on the topic and they're always very entertaining and insightful. And I want to learn more about other variants of the German language. I know there's other countries where German is spoken, even America, I believe some parts speak a little bit of German. And today I'm going to be looking at Swiss German, one of Germany's neighbours. I'm interested to see how Swiss German differs from standard German, as it says here. I know that within Germany itself there's a lot of dialects and variants of the language itself, so interested to see how it differs in a different country. If you have any experience of Swiss German, tell me how that was, how different it was, how difficult or easy it was to understand. I'll maybe also look at videos with Austria and maybe any other countries or locations that speak German as well. So yeah, tell me your experience. Let's watch this and learn a little bit more about the German language.
Learners of German are often surprised to discover just how different spoken German can be depending on where you go. What we call German includes both Standard German and a diverse range of dialects that differ throughout the German-speaking regions.
Yeah, I mean, even there we see, I was going to ask what you think, for Swiss German, if there was certain parts of Germany that could, or people from those areas that could maybe understand it better than people from other areas, but you can really see the geographic differences here. So maybe in these parts of Germany can understand Swiss German easier than people up in the north of Germany. I guess geography always plays that role in the differences in dialects. But this is quite a good map to see this. I wonder also if there's differences between Swiss German and Austrian German and how they differ as well.
One of the most famous examples of this is Swiss German, the dialects spoken in Switzerland. They're often different enough that speakers of Standard German can't understand them. Swiss German is really a geographic grouping of all the dialects spoken in Switzerland, rather than a linguistic grouping. There are cases in which Swiss German dialects are more similar to dialects spoken across the border in Germany, Austria, Liechtenstein, or South Tyrol than they are to other Swiss dialects that are further away. The dialects of Switzerland are Alemannic dialects, which is a subgroup of Upper German. There are 4 subgroups within Alemannic: Swabian, Low Alemannic, High Alemannic, and Highest Alemannic.
Yeah, what I was going to actually just ask as well is even within Switzerland itself, I wonder if there's variants of this Swiss German. Obviously it's a smaller country than Germany, but I would imagine there's probably still differences in maybe people in Bern and Zurich, how they pronounce certain words or things they say might also have variants as well, or variances.
It's a dialect continuum, getting further from Standard German as you move southward. In Switzerland, there are mainly High Alemannic and Highest Alemannic dialects, with a pocket of Low Alemannic around the city of Basel. There's quite a lot of variation amongst Swiss German dialects. The speaker in this video comes from the Zurich area. In Switzerland, people almost exclusively use their dialect in casual situations, as opposed to in Germany, where there's been more of a shift towards Standard German. In formal situations and in writing, they use Swiss Standard German, which is almost the same as the Standard German used in Germany, with some minor differences. There is no sharp S to represent the sound S. It's written with double S instead. Some different vocabulary is used, yes, even in the written language. For example,
Reservation,
instead of
Reservierung, Spital,
meaning hospital, instead of Standard
Spital.
German,
Krankenhaus,
Krankenhaus, yeah.
Velo,
meaning bicycle, instead of Standard German,
Fahrrad, Schüpp,
meaning skirt, instead of Standard German,
Rock.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that in French, vélo is the word for bicycle as well. So maybe these are coming from the French influence in Switzerland. I think reservation might also be that as well. Spital, that's quite an interesting one, that it's just part of the word hospital. But yeah, you can really see the difference there. The first one is quite similar, but these are completely different words. So I can imagine there would already be some complication if a German was going to Switzerland and hearing these words. They might just not know what they were.
These words are borrowings from French.
Okay.
But the real differences lie in the Swiss German dialects, including a lot of different words. Hello.
Grüezi.
This is a contraction of the old polite expression,
Ich grüße Sie.
meaning I greet you. Bye.
Adieu.
Instead of Standard German,
Tschüss.
Again, I wonder if that's adieu the French word that comes
Excuse
from.
me.
Excusez.
This comes from French, excusez. Thank you,
Merci.
instead of Standard German
Danke.
or one of its variants. This word comes from French, of course. Another option is
Merci vielmal.
vielmal means many times, a little bit,
Ein bisschen.
rather than Standard German.
Ein bisschen.
In Standard German, the verb meaning to run is.
Laufen.
In Swiss German, there's the verb,
Laufen.
but it
Laufen.
actually means walk. The verb meaning to run in Swiss German is.
Rennen.
It has a cognate in Standard German,
Rennen.
which is used more with the sense of to race or to move quickly.
It's like quite funny, like the difference there is like each one in German is a little bit faster, as if it's trying to be that little bit ahead of it. That's quite just a interesting quirk of the language there. But yeah, I guess I could see some confusion being caused.
By the way,
With
notice
that?
that the Standard German infinitive form of verbs ends in n, while the Swiss German infinitives don't have the n at the end. The verb meaning to work in Standard German,
Arbeiten.
in Swiss German,
Schaffe.
in Standard German, this verb normally means to create or to manage to do something. Those are just a few examples. There are far too many
Schaffe.
different words to list them all here. Pronunciation. One difference is that Alemannic dialects, for the most part, fully underwent the High German consonant shift, a change in consonant sounds that occurred during the development of Old High German. Standard German has some of these changes, but not all. One change that most Swiss dialects underwent, but Standard German didn't, was the shift from k to kh or ch at the beginning of words, when doubled, after r or l, and after m or n. For example, thanks in Standard German
Danke.
and in Swiss German,
Danke.
child in Standard German
Kind.
and in Swiss German.
Kind.
Yeah, that's something I associate that kind of sound. I know it's used in a different way, but it's like almost like the way the Dutch, certain Dutch dialects speak as well, with that sound that they add into different words as well. I know like the k comes up in German as well, but it's used in a different way. But yeah, you can really see the difference of this.
Notice that the vowel is also different, being raised in Swiss German. There are sometimes differences between monophthongs and diphthongs. Listen to the words for house and pay attention to the vowel sounds. In Standard German
Haus.
and in Swiss German.
Hus.
Hus. Yeah, that one is interesting and relatable in a way that in Scotland, funnily enough, this is just a coincidence, I guess, but the colloquial way to say house, or the slang way sometimes people in Glasgow would say is hus as well, so it's just a interesting coincidence there.
Swiss German dialects did not undergo the new High German diphthongization, in which certain vowels became diphthongs. Swiss German maintains the monophthongs of Middle High German. The long vowels I, U, and Ü became I, Au, and Oi. To say my house, in Standard German you would say,
Mein Haus.
while in Swiss German you would say,
Mis Hus.
the plural, houses, in Standard German would be,
Häuser.
in Swiss German it would be.
Hüser.
Conversely, there are some diphthongs that became monophthongs in Standard German, but remain diphthongs in Swiss German. Ihr, Ur, and Ür, each with a schwa in second position, became I, U, and Ü. For example, the word for love. In Standard German it's,
Liebe.
Liebe.
while in Swiss German it's.
Liebe.
Liebe.
The word for good. In Standard German it's,
Gut.
Gut.
while in Swiss German it's.
Gut.
Gut.
The word for foot. In Standard German it's,
Fuß.
and in
Fuß.
Swiss German it's.
Fuß.
Fuß.
Grammar. Another difference is that Swiss German does not have a preterite tense. Instead, they use the perfect tense. For example, the sentence meaning, yesterday I was at home. In Standard German it's,
Gestern war ich zu Hause.
word for word it's, yesterday was I at home. In Swiss German it's,
Gestern bin ich daheim gsi.
That's so different. Gestern war ich zu Hause. Gestern bin ich daheim. How do you pronounce that? Gsi?
word for word that's, yes, I at home. In Swiss German it's,
Gestern bin ich daheim gsi.
word for
Gestern bin ich daheim.
word that's, yesterday am I at home been. Word for word in Standard German this would be,
Gestern bin ich zu Hause gewesen.
but it would literally mean, yesterday I have been at home. Note that I is an unstressed form of ich when it comes after the verb. You'll probably also notice differences in the forms of verbs. An example that might have jumped out at you is Standard German
Gewesen.
versus Swiss German.
Gsi.
They are both the past participle of the verb meaning to be. In Swiss German, the verb meaning to go is doubled when used before another verb. For instance, if you want to say, I go traveling, you would say,
Ich gang go reisen.
I gang go reise. I wonder, like, because sometimes I find when I watch videos like this, the people who watch it actually learn more about their own language as well, because when you speak a language, you don't really consider the origins or how it's structured, because you've just always spoken, you just speak the way you speak. But yeah, I wonder, like, if this is eye-opening for people in Germany, people in Switzerland, and maybe not just about the other language, but about the own language as well.
the first go here is the first person
I
singular
go
present
travel.
tense form,
Gang
and the
go.
second one is the infinitive. In Standard German, you would say,
Ich gehe reisen.
a construction like this is also used for the verbs meaning to come,
Go.
let,
La.
and begin.
Anfahren.
Come eat.
Komm go essen.
Chum is the singular imperative form, and cho is the infinitive. Another difference lies in the diminutive suffix, which expresses a smaller, cuter, or younger version of the noun. In Standard German, it's
Lein.
or,
Chen.
while in Swiss German, it's.
Li.
In Standard German, a small mouse is.
Mäuslein.
In Swiss German, it's.
Müsli.
Muesli. That's like the breakfast, like when you eat, you get like muesli. Maybe that's even from somewhere like Germany as well, muesli. I mean, even that in itself is quite interesting. And again, if you're not from Switzerland, you probably, if you're from Germany, I guess you probably wouldn't consider that that's something that's
This
applicable.
could result in some funny confusion because in Standard German
Müsli.
refers to muesli,
Yeah.
a kind of food. In Swiss German, the food is called.
Müsli.
This difference is a result
muesli.
of one of the sound shifts I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, you can hear that slight difference there, but again, that could really cause some confusion if you want to say you want to eat some muesli or muesli, depending on the German accent. If you're there at a hotel for breakfast, like you want to eat a small
The
mouse.
diphthong became a monophthong in Standard German. A little house. In Standard German, it's.
Häuslein.
Or-
Hauslein.
Häuschen.
While in Swiss German, it's.
Hüsli.
Husli. So even in German, how do you determine which is the correct one to use here? What's the difference between line and chin? How would you choose one or the other?
Next, rather than all the different relative pronouns used in Standard German, in Swiss German there's only one relative clause marker.
Wo.
For example, with the meaning of the friend that I always go drinking with. In Standard German,
Der Freund, mit dem ich immer saufen gehe.
Der Freund, mit dem ich immer saufen gehe.
word for word it's the friend with whom I always drink, infinitive, go. In Swiss German it's
Der Freund, wo ich immer mit dem Gang go saufen.
Der Freund, wo ich immer mit im Gang go surfen. Yeah, like a lot of differences. I mean, there is some words that are similar, but some that are definitely different, and then the structure is also
word
slightly
for word
different
it's
as well.
the friend that I always with him go drink. This form is a contraction of wo and ich, or its unstressed form I.
Join
Notice
the
that the Swiss German relative clause has something called a resumptive pronoun, a pronoun that restates the person or thing that you're talking about. Him refers back to.
Der Freund.
The Standard German relative clause doesn't have a resumptive pronoun. Now let's look at some sentences and see what we find. These sentences mean we went fishing and caught lots of fish. In Standard German,
Wir gingen angeln und fingen viele Fische.
Wir gingen angeln und fingen viel Fische. So angling, is that fishing? That's like, in English, some people actually use that as a term. I don't know if that's different from fishing, but you hear like angling, and maybe that's a more proper way to say it. Like if you hear like competitions for fishing, it's usually like an angling tournament, something like that as well. So interesting to see that similarity there as well.
word for word it's we went fishing and caught lots fish. In Swiss German it's
Wir sind go fischen gegangen und haben viel Fisch gefangen.
Wir sind go Fische gegangen und haben viel Fisch gefangen. That's almost like it rhymes as well, so that's like very different as well. Again, guess that's using the go-go thing, but Yeah, I feel like maybe there would be, if you were German and you went to Switzerland and someone said this, you could maybe work it out because there is a few similarities, but it is still quite different.
Word for word, it's we, are, go, infinitive, fish, infinitive, gone, and have lots fish caught. First, notice the different first-person plural pronouns. The Swiss German pronoun resembles the first singular dative pronoun in both Standard German and Swiss German. Next, notice that the Standard German sentence has the preterite tense, or the simple past tense, while the Swiss German sentence uses the perfect tense instead, as we saw before. And again, we see that the verb meaning go is doubled when used with another verb, in the verb phrase meaning go fishing. The word for fishing is also different. In Standard German, the usual word is angeln, while in Swiss German it's Fische. These sentences mean, I want to buy the kitten we saw at the pet shop. In Standard German,
Ich will das Kätzchen kaufen, das wir in der Tierhandlung gesehen haben.
Okay, ich will das Katzchen kaufen, das wir in der Tierhandlung gesehen haben. I want to buy the kitten we saw at the pet
for
shop.
word it's, I want the kitten by, infinitive, that we in the pet shop seen have. In Swiss German it's,
Ich will das Kätzchen kaufen, wo wir in der Tierhandlung gesehen haben.
Ich will that one is, how did he pronounce that? That's like quite unique as well, putting that S there. I guess that's some shortened word that's put to the beginning there as a sort of prefix. Let me just hear that again.
infinitive, pet shop seen have. In Swiss German it's,
Ich will das Kätzchen kaufen, wo wir in der Tierhandlung gesehen haben.
Ich will Kätzle kaufen, wo wir in der Tierhandlung gesehen haben. I feel like that's maybe slightly more difficult to actually say. But again, if you see the similar or the comparison there, pretty much everything is different actually. Every word is different.
word for
No
word
real
it's,
similarity.
I want the kitten by, infinitive, that we in the pet shop seen have. First, notice the different words meaning want, will in Standard German and wait in Swiss German. Next, we see that the definite article is shortened in Swiss German. Then notice the different diminutive forms of the word for cat, which mean kitten. In Standard German, Kätzchen, and in Swiss German, Katzli. And again, notice that the initial consonant is different. K in Standard German and Ch in Swiss German. We see that same difference in kaufen and kaufe. And again, we see that the Swiss German infinitive lacks the final N. Next, again we see the different relative clause marker in Swiss German, wo, and that it again contracts with the personal pronoun. Wo plus mir becomes vomer. After that we see ide, meaning in the, written as one word. Then we see a slightly different form of the word for pet shop. Then we see different forms of the past participle of the verb meaning to see. And again, we see that the present tense of the auxiliary verb meaning to have has a different form of the first-person plural conjugation. As you can see, Swiss German dialects are fairly different from Standard German. Of course, they're closely related, and if Swiss German had a different name, like just Swiss, we'd probably say, wow, Swiss and German are so similar. But
that's true, actually, just the name of it does make a difference to how it looks. I guess there's enough similarities where you can say that it is like a variant of German because of that, but there is so many differences as well.
Because it's called Swiss German, the differences stand out to us. Remember that Swiss German dialects are Alemannic dialects, which are part of the Upper German branch of High German. Some people believe that Alemannic and also Bavarian are different languages from Standard German. But because they're closely related to it, and because Standard German is the written and formal language that's used in combination with them, they are normally considered part of the German language. The question of the day. For German speakers outside of Switzerland, how well do you understand Swiss German? How different is it from your usual way of speaking, whether that's Standard German or dialect? And for Swiss German speakers, how easy is it to communicate with German speakers from other parts of Switzerland and those from outside of Switzerland? Do you usually use Standard German with speakers of different dialects?
Yeah, that's an interesting question for both of them. If you've got answers to them, please let me know. I'd love to know more about it, know people's experiences. Again, maybe like, I'm sure most Germans will have some experience maybe interacting with a Swiss German and having that, yeah, seeing how it's spoken. So yeah, I wonder like if Swiss people would change this way they speak to Germans and vice versa. Tell me your experience of that as well. But just going from this video, what do you think about it? Would you be able to understand those sentences, those Swiss German sentences, if someone said them to you? You'd be able to link it back to what it is in German? Yeah, tell me more about that. Thanks.